I'm back! Welcome back to another episode of the Brandmerry podcast. I am back from summer break. If you didn't tune in to our last episode, episode 90, I shared exactly what I do over the summer in regards to content creation. Well, today I'm back after about 2 months. It was so amazing. And I'm sharing my big takeaways. What did I get done this summer? And what happened in my business? Now, I know summer is not officially over, okay? But my son starts homeschool in like a week. And if you've got kiddos as well, I'm sure you are already in that mindset. So while I'm going to hold on to the energy of summer all the way until the summer, to the fall solstice, I also know that things are shifting. And a big shift that I have been paying attention to over the last 7 years as a business owner is this energetic shift that happens between summer and fall. It is without a doubt probably the most intense seasonal shift that I experience as a business owner. It's when things start to ramp up. And I think part of that is because I do love to withdraw and kind of go inward during the summertime, really take more time and freedom with my schedule. But around that fall winter season, when consumer buying behavior really starts to amp up, it's like that energy as a CEO also starts to boil. So I am feeling so refreshed after the last 2 months and ready for this fall season. And I hope that this episode will give you a little insight into what actually happened, because how many people take breaks and then they're like, oh, I'm back. And you never know, like, what did that break actually mean? Did you work at all? I have no idea. And so I wanted to pull back the curtain and share some of those details with you. So if you haven't listened to the last episode that we released, definitely go back and tune into that, because it's just an overall really great episode on how to take breaks from content creation. Now, I'm talking about summer specifically inside of this episode, but this is also something that I do during the winter as well. Typically between mid-December through mid-January, I take the same extended break. Also, totally enjoying my coffee because it's one of those days, okay? I'm taking my sips as we have this casual chat on the couch. And if you're listening to this episode, by the way, we have all episodes released on YouTube now, so you can come join me in my home while I sit on my couch and drink my coffee, and we can have this little chat. So I always take these breaks. That's not new. This is something that I always do, but this one felt different in a way. I was going in with more intentions. It wasn't so much, I need a break, because I totally have those moments, and I have had those many times in my business where I love creating content, but I also need a dang break. This one was different. I was really wanting to step back fully in my business and kind of recalibrate, realign. If you're on my email list, I talk a lot in my Sunday letters about the brand evolution and the changes that naturally are going to happen with your brand and your business over time as you yourself change as a person. Your business, of course, is an extension of you. What's happening in your personal life is going to impact the way that you can show up in your business and vice versa. And so I have been really on this discovery, I would say, since the beginning of this year on figuring out what's next for Brandmerry. I have had my business for 7 years. We celebrated 7 years in April officially. And I think with all things in life, there is seasons, there is a cycle. And I started to wonder, what's next? What do I really want to be working toward? How do I want to be structuring my business? Now, along this kind of period where I was lining up to take my summer break, a few personal things were shifting for us as well. Now, in January, we bought a house, and I think that definitely impacted a lot of the ways I'm thinking about structuring my business moving forward. So that was a really big life change. Our son is homeschooled, as many of you know if you follow me on social media. My husband has played a major role in homeschooling up until this point, but I started to feel like I wanted to really be part of the process. So I started to think, okay, well, how can I set up my business so that I can also take 2 days a week and lead the lessons and lead the homeschooling there? So that was a conversation that we were having. Another piece of the puzzle is that my husband went back to work. Now, if you have been following my story for any amount of time, you know that a big thing that I have really been proud of with my business is retiring my husband. That happened in 2019 when we sold our home and Brandmerry was making enough money for us to sell our home, move into an RV, and travel the world. Now, around that same time, obviously my husband needed to leave his job because we're not clocking into a 9 to 5 anymore. My husband was working retail management at the time. And so from 2019 until this summer, my husband has been retired, right? I think that's like the fun way of saying it, okay? And he has really been working inside of the business of Brandmerry. Many of you know he edits these podcasts and this video. Hi, babe. Love you and appreciate you. Has been leading the homeschool with my son and, of course, really managing most of the day-to-day in our home environment. But he started to really want to kind of do something again and get out there and started exploring the possibilities of what would it look like if he did go back to work, whatever that looked like for our family. And so that started in May as well. So there were a ton of changes that were happening personally for us. And if I know anything about running a business, I know that that is the top priority. You really need to honor what is happening in your life, what is shifting there, and then create a business that supports that. That has always been my goal. And that is why I really was looking forward to taking the summer break to start to realign and rethink, where is Brandmerry going next? And I had the capacity to really do that over the last 2 months. Now, do I have everything figured out? Oh, geez, no. Not at all. I'm constantly still discovering things as we go through this process. But a few things that I really wanted to focus on during this period were limiting the amount of hours that I was working every day. So I really made a goal to shoot for anywhere between 3 and 4 hours. There were some days where I didn't work at all. And there were some days that I logged 6, but I would say on average, it was 3 to 4 hours Monday through Thursday. I took Fridays off and I really made it a point to not work a lot on the weekends. Now, I made a choice as an entrepreneur that I want my business to serve my personal schedule, right? So I don't work a typical, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. Monday through Friday in my business. I actually love to work when I'm inspired. Ironically enough, that tends to happen on Saturday and Sunday mornings. What can I say? My brain just loves to write a good email in the morning. But I really started to encourage myself to take longer periods of time where I wasn't really thinking about the business this summer. So that was really interesting to do. I will say that I did default back to writing emails on Saturday and Sunday mornings, and I just love it. I love it, and I don't think I'm going to fight it. I don't think I'm going to change it. But again, I wanted to experiment. I hear so much about the 4-day work week and like how amazing it is, but I love the flexibility that my schedule gives me. And I've talked about this before, where Monday is like a really intense day. I usually work, from 10 a.m. to maybe 4 or 5. And then the rest of the week, it kind of just depends on calls and what's happening. I love to take my Fridays off. I have generally discovered that I don't like working on Wednesdays. So Wednesdays and Fridays are kind of my weekdays, and then Saturday and Sunday mornings. So this summer really allowed me to kind of experiment with that because there wasn't as much of a demand from me. Now, how did I minimize the demand? Well, one, I wasn't creating any new content. That takes a lot of time. If you are a content creator or in the content mix, there's a lot of planning that goes into that. There's a lot of time that goes into that. So I removed that this summer. And again, episode 90 talks a little bit more about how I was able to do that and how I was still able to grow my email list and generate over $30,000 cash in 2 months without creating any new content, which we're going to talk about. So that was number one. Number two was I didn't launch. Now, I want to be super clear on this because I did sell this summer. As many of you might know, I opened up the Brandmerry Summer Shop. Now, this is something that I've been considering doing for quite some time. The amount of courses and trainings that I have created at Brandmerry are so big, like so big. We have so many trainings and courses. Almost all of them are available inside of Brandmerry Academy, which is my membership portal. And I'm going to talk a little bit more about that as well. And so I really wanted to experiment with offering these courses, at least the top performing ones, the ones that, my clients really love and tend to gravitate toward or say, this is the reason that I'm investing. I wanted to offer those in a summer shop. This is something that my husband, Delana, and I have been talking about, behind the scenes, like what would it be like if we had a shop? Would people be interested? And so that was always the goal. I was going to open the shop and I was going to kind of drip products, if you will, throughout the summer. Now, all of those products were already made. We typically really only needed to create a checkout page. Some of them had a sales page, but that was really it. And I exclusively sold to my email list. So the reason that I'm saying is this wasn't a launch is when we're gearing up for a launch, let's say for my group program Roadmap to Freedom, this is a 90-day event. We're in the middle of it now, where we are prepping so many things behind the scenes. We are drafting all of the emails. We are looking at the advertisements. We're talking lead gen. Like, it's a really big deal. It's a 90-day buildup to the actual launch, which is typically, 2 to 3 weeks. This was not that. This is available, send out an email, make some money. And so while I was selling, I was really strategic to test this to my warm audience only, which was only email subscribers, and kind of be strategic with the courses that I was ultimately selling. So that was really fun to experiment with. It did allow me to make sales weekly, which was really exciting. My biggest takeaway, because I want this to be super transparent, is it's not really a model for me. I don't really love the shop model. I think if I was selling something like templates, like website templates or graphic templates, it might be more kind of up, my thing. But I didn't really love it. I love that it was available to my audience. We definitely had people who were like, I've wanted to work with you. I've wanted to purchase from you. This is a really great way for me to do that. We have seen some awesome ROI with people who did buy a product and then move into another product or move into a one-on-one offering. So the return on investment was definitely there, considering it didn't take a ton of time and energy from me. But overall, I definitely think I gravitate more toward a live program type of component. And I'm not sure if I'll do the shop again, but it was a lot of fun. And again, it allowed me to make money this summer without actually having to launch, just send my emails. So there was no new content. There was no launching. It really was email marketing. That was it. And for me, this is something that comes really natural to me. I have been really focused on email marketing since day one of my business. I've emailed my community 2 to 3 times a week for 7 years. 7 years. And yeah, there's a couple where there's like a week email in there, but on average, it's 2 to 3 times a week. This is something I've always done, and it works really well for me. I can write an email sometimes in 10 to 15 minutes, and it's fun. I love it. And that is something that I wanted to hold on to and continue this summer. It obviously paid off because we were able to generate money without any social media promotion. So let's talk social media, shall we? I also made the decision to step away from social media, although I didn't publicly announce it and say I was going on a sabbatical because I just didn't want to put any rules in place. If I wanted to talk about something on social media, I wanted to just have the flexibility to do that. I didn't feel like I needed to announce to the world that this was happening. So I think between, the time that I went on this break to now, I've posted maybe 7 to 8 times over the course of 2 months. And I also made an intentional point to not really talk about the shop in my stories. There wasn't any promotion that happened. I made one Instagram post about it, but that was it. So all of those sales that came in from the shop really were from my email list and then from my evergreen lead generation. And I'd say this was one of my biggest takeaways and probably one of the things that just, solidified how important evergreen content really is. Because while I was on this break and while I decided to, not post on social media, we were still growing the business. I was still getting leads every single day from Google, from Pinterest, even from Instagram, from like reels I had posted a while ago and people discovering me on there. And Pinterest and Google being my main drivers, obviously, we were still getting leads. I was still making sales. We would have people who joined my email list and then bought something directly from the shop. We had people who discovered the shop via Pinterest. So I was not having to create a bunch of new content and post on social media, and I was still able to grow my leads and then obviously bring in revenue for the business, which was amazing. Because that's really important to me. I do not want to grow my business on social media. I do not want to rely on social media. I definitely have gone through periods where I do feel like, am I missing something? Like I think we see these TikTok videos and we see these reels and it's like, this is how you have to grow your business in 2023 and this is what you need to know and you need to have reels that take off, and I don't love it. It doesn't feel exciting for me. And I really made a commitment to myself this summer to experiment, to give myself permission to move away from it and to see what happened. And it proved to me that I can still do this and those strategies still work. Pinterest still works. Blogging still works. SEO still works. YouTube still works. We had videos from last year start to rank in search and started to get a ton of leads for my content creation and my repurposing guide. So that was my biggest takeaway and something I really wanted to share with you. And what I really suggest every business owner start to focus on is setting up these evergreen platforms. They do take more time to create the content for, but you can be really strategic in repurposing that content for other platforms and just expanding your reach, much like I talked about in episode 90 and a ton of other episodes here on the podcast. So that was a little bit about what was happening. In addition, we made some changes behind the scenes with Brandmerry Academy. And Brandmerry Academy is my membership, right? My membership where you have access to me every single month and access to my top marketing courses. I made the decision after our launch in April that I only wanted to allow members to join the Academy that had already purchased or worked with us at Brandmerry. And this was a big change because the Academy was never set up this way, but it just felt really aligned. I wanted to create a membership of members, right, who were in it, who understood the importance of evergreen content, who understood the importance of having this support from me and my team. And it felt really aligned to just start offering that on the back end of my products and my services. So the Academy is no longer something that you can just sign up for, and we do not have, for the time being, a plan to publicly launch it. And that has felt really good, and I'm excited to experiment with that. That's definitely something that, looking forward to happening down the line. We already had members sign up this summer just because of the funnel that I set up on the back end of the shop. So basically, if you purchase, any product or you join a program from us here at Brandmerry, you have the opportunity to get continued support inside of the Academy, which was a huge change, was definitely a risk, but so far I'm loving it and I stand by my decision to do it. So that was a big one for sure. I think the second change that happened is I am no longer accepting new one-to-one clients. So speaking of timing, okay, and speaking of schedules, I went into this year with 12 one-on-one clients. I told myself I wouldn't do that again after I did that back in 2017. If you don't know, back in 2017, I challenged myself to take on 10 one-on-one clients, and then I would create my first course. I was like, I've got this. This is going to give me my 10K months. And then after I did it, I was like, I'm never doing that again. And I've stayed around 4 to 5 one-on-one clients. Well, something miraculous happened in November and December of last year where I had a lot of people discover me on Google and reach out, and they were amazing, like the best fit. I loved every single one of them. But I realized that I was spending way too much time on these coaching calls, and it was really taking away from the content creation and some of the pieces that I genuinely enjoy in my business, as well as I was feeling really structured with my time because it's not just about my availability, although that is kind of the perimeter, but also taking into consideration my clients. Some of my clients live in Australia or we're traveling, and so we had to make some modifications. And so I did make the decision as well to no longer take new one-on-one long-term clients and have just been working with my core group that have continued to re-enroll. And that has felt really, really good. And it was just a reminder that it's pretty amazing that I can make that decision, right? It's pretty amazing that I can make that choice, that this schedule is not working for me and what I love and how I love showing up in my business or my family. And I can genuinely make that choice. And because I don't want to toot my own horn, but I take really, really good care of my clients and I show up for my clients, that they do re-enroll. Client retention is huge for me and something I am really good at. And my clients typically sign up for a minimum of 2 to 3 more cycles. So they'll complete 6 months and then they'll do another 6 months. So I typically work with my clients for a minimum of a year. Now, of course, not always the case. Some clients come in, get what they need, and move on. But many of my clients really, especially my clients who are starting with me, maybe at the kind of beginner level or are just working their way up to 3K, 5K months, there's a lot of opportunities for me to support them, and I love working with them. So that was a big change. And then the third big change was, once again, just reminding myself how much I love my program, Roadmap to Freedom. Roadmap to Freedom is the group program that I created 6 months after starting my business because there was such a need for this program. And I wanted to create this program in a way that was different than what I was seeing at the time. And I've continued to stay ahead of what I see people creating. Although it's not the only program out there that helps entrepreneurs lay the foundation and create all the building blocks of a sustainable business, we go so above and beyond with our level of support and our involvement that we have had clients time and time again tell us that there's nothing else out there on the market at this level, and that they've been burned by other programs, and when they came and completed Roadmap to Freedom, it just blew their expectations out of the water. So the combination of that feedback, which of course feels amazing, my love for the content inside of Roadmap to Freedom, which really takes from the very beginning branding pieces, which of course is my specialty. It's how I started, to email marketing and community growth, which of course something I'm really good at, to evergreen marketing strategies and authentic selling, and really supports entrepreneurs every single step of the way. I just love it. And I love showing up for my clients. So I decided this summer that I was also going to launch it this fall. Okay, I've never done 2 live rounds of R2F in a year. I don't know if I ever will. This is an experiment. We'll see how it goes. But I'm doing it again. And so we are actually in the middle of preparing for that launch. The doors are going to open near the end of September. And so I'm super excited about it. I just really realized that this is the program that my heart is in. Like, everything that Brandmerry stands for shows up inside of this program. And the feedback that we have gotten year after year since 2017, the first round, has just been amazing. I mean, we have a whole entire page of video testimonials and quotes and clients that I still talk to today and who still reach out to me. And some of them are even my one-on-one clients or come back as alumni because the program meant so much to them. So I'm really excited to be at a place in my business because last November I released an episode like what to do if you don't know what to do next. Because I was feeling like, ooh, what is next for Brandmerry? I think, that decision that I had at the beginning of summer with like, let's figure out what's next, started to build last November. And I was feeling like, ooh, what do I want to do? I've created a lot. I have all these different programs. Where is my heart? What excites me? And I feel like I'm starting to figure that out, at least for the time being. And I'm also open to that changing because it will change. It's inevitable. And I might get an amazing idea. Like I've got an idea in my head for a new course that I'm like, ooh, when are we going to launch it? But also recognizing that I need to give things space and time. You know, I am at a stage in my business where, like I mentioned, I have a plethora of materials that I have created, and I'm really thankful for that. But I also always want to stay ahead of the game. I love improving my content. It doesn't sit still. We just made updates to the Pinterest training inside of Brandmerry Academy because the platform has shifted and we've tested some things. We're getting updates inside of Roadmap to Freedom. I make updates every single time, always elevating the content. And I also love creating new stuff as well. So making sure that I have time in my schedule to do that creation is really important to me. And this summer really showed me that that's something that I need to protect and that I need to make a priority, which is pretty cool. So there have been a lot of changes happening. And I think what I'm looking forward to most, I'm trying not to get too ahead of myself and plan out like through the end of the year. I'm really focused on kind of 90 days at a time, which is working really well for me. And it feels good. I definitely have visions. Okay, like who doesn't? What dreamer can't be like, okay, in January of 2024, I hope to, but I have the details mapped out for the next 90 days and have an idea of where I kind of want to land at the end of the year. And I think what I'm most looking forward to is another round of Roadmap to Freedom. Like, so excited for this next group of individuals. So excited for the changes that we've made, the community that we have now. I love showing up for those calls. There's 2 live calls with me every single month, and they are seriously the best. And I'm excited to welcome alumni back. So if you want some more details about Roadmap to Freedom, you can go to brandmerry.com/freedom, or better yet, go take the new quiz that I just released. There's a quiz. It's a limited time quiz. It's a business roadmap quiz. If you go to brandmerry.com/roadmap, you can take this quiz. It's a 5-minute quiz, and it's going to give you your next 3 steps in business. Like outlined, do this, and then do this, okay? Super simple, super strategic, takes the mystery and the overwhelm. It will be like, in the next 90 days, these are your priorities, all right? Plus, I've got 2 bonus videos that you get over the next 48 hours completing the quiz that are going to help you with some of the top mistakes I see entrepreneurs make, as well as just my overall framework. And that is really kind of the launching point into Roadmap to Freedom. So if you want to start there, get those steps outlined for you, and learn a little bit more about the program, that would be a great place to start. You can go to brandmerry.com/roadmap. So I'm super excited about that. I think the second thing I'm really excited about is I'm writing a book, which I did share with my email list this summer, which was terrifying, just terrifying. But I am writing a book. I am writing a book on my approach to branding. You know, how do you create an authentic and aligned brand in today's world? And I'm really excited about that. My goal is I'm going to put this out there, launch it before the end of the year, but I'm also being really generous with myself and saying like, don't push it, don't rush it. It's a masterpiece, you know what I mean? Like it needs to happen on its time, but I have been writing it. The outline is complete. Chapters have been written and finalized, and that is feeling really exciting. I've got a photo shoot in October to hopefully get some headshots, maybe some cover images for the book. So that feels really exciting, and a next step for Brandmerry to be able to put the work that has been tested and implemented by so many individuals over the past 7 years to like put it in like a really official printed book makes me terrified, but also excited. It feels exciting. And I also have some really great ideas for a course that I'm hoping to launch the beginning of next year. I'm not going to share too much about it. And a possible 4-week planning workshop at the end of the year, which is totally going to happen. So stay tuned for that. But all in all, I would say that this summer really just solidified my mission as an entrepreneur and as a business owner, and that your business needs to complement your life. You need to create a business and a structure, and yes, it will change as your life changes, that complements your life. That is so, so important. And I wish more entrepreneurs were able to do that. And that's really what we aim to do inside of our programs. You might have noticed that a lot of our programs are super hands-on. I am very involved in the programs. And that's because no two business owners are the same. And I think that's one of the reasons that the shop was a little hard for me, because while I know people can buy SEO Bootcamp and go off and implement it and it's amazing, I actually love hearing from you. And I love talking with you. And I love being able to listen to your business and your goals and your schedule and what's coming up for you every single week and the amount of time that you have to build your business and help you create a plan that works for you, which is why focusing on these group programs and things like that is really where my heart is at right now. And this summer really solidified that for me. But to be able to take that break, to step away, to, just have the time to, be with my family, to garden. If y'all want to see my garden, come on over to Instagram. I'm going to be sharing more about it. Has been really amazing. And I hope that you had an amazing summer as well. It's possible to take a break, to take a step back, to realign, but not lose momentum. I don't feel in any way that we lost momentum this summer. If anything, I feel like the momentum was still building, but I didn't have to be in it, on it all the time, which gave me freedom to really think about what I want as a business owner and how I want to show up for the community. So I hope that this episode was really valuable to really, drive home how important it is to have that evergreen content so you can step away, to experiment with your offerings and really make sure that you are creating and putting offerings out that are aligned with you, because eventually you're going to be like, I don't really love this anymore. We want to love the work that we put out in the world. And I think above all else, as things shift in your personal life, as you are feeling called to maybe do things or modify your schedule, you can create a business that complements that. You just have to modify your expectations and sit in the driver's seat of saying, these are the priorities in the business because these are the priorities in my personal life. And that is the most important thing, right? We're creating our businesses so we can thrive personally and in our relationships for that time, financial, and location freedom. And I really hope that you always remember that as a business owner, because it can be really easy to get caught up in the hamster wheel. And with all the information flying at our heads, it can be difficult. But it is possible to create a business that way. It is possible to experience time, financial, and location freedom. And that's what we're all about here at Brandmerry. So don't forget, take that roadmap quiz, brandmerry.com/roadmap. Quick quiz, tons of resources, step-by-step plan for your next 90 days. It's only available in August, so take it now. Don't forget. And I'm going to be back with another episode next week. I'm going to share the top steps that I recommend a new entrepreneur take if they was launching my business right now in 2023. All right. I will be back next week with another episode. Thank you so much for joining me. It's good to be back, and I hope you have a beautiful week.